Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be tackling, are we living in a simulation?
Ooh.
We've got a whole bunch of research, philosophical arguments, even some social media stuff to look through.
I am so ready.
We'll be talking about, like, organoid brains in virtual worlds,
No.
physicists trying to find the limits of reality, the whole nine yards.
That's going to be fascinating. It's so interesting how this idea has moved from, just science fiction
Right.
into an actual discussion.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, are we on the verge of, a paradigm shift
Oh, absolutely.
in how we
Yeah.
understand, our whole existence,
Totally. So, okay, let's just start with, the basics.
Okay.
What exactly is simulation theory?
Right.
And how did it, gain all this traction?
So simulation theory is basically this idea that what we experience as reality
Okay.
is actually this super sophisticated computer simulation
Okay.
created by, maybe a more advanced civilization.
So, we're in a video game.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Think of it like the most advanced video game you could possibly imagine.
Mm-hmm.
But so real, so immersive, you
Yeah.
can't tell the difference.
So we're all NPCs in some cosmic video game.
Well, not necessarily NPCs.
Okay.
We might have, some degree of free will and stuff, even if our reality is ultimately, governed by code.
Okay.
The point is, it would be so detailed,
Mm-hmm.
we wouldn't know the difference.
Gotcha. Okay, so how did this, kind of crazy idea
Yeah.
go from, the realm of science fiction
Right.
to, Elon Musk's talking about it?
Well, a few, key thinkers have really helped popularize it.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is Nick Bostrom, a philosopher.
Oh, yeah.
And he came up with this thing called the simulation argument.
Right.
He basically argues that if civilizations can create simulations,
Okay.
and they choose to,
Uh-huh.
then it's actually statistically more likely that we're in a simulation
Right.
than in the original, base reality. It's kind of like a numbers game
Yeah.
based on how many potential simulations there could be.
That's trippy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, next time you see, a super realistic video game,
Right.
you're like, is this it?
Yeah.
Is this the stepping stone
Exactly.
to, simulating a whole universe?
That makes you look at it a little differently.
For sure.
And then you have people like Elon Musk, who's been on record saying he believes the odds are, very high
Right.
that we are in a simulation.
I mean, that's crazy.
When someone like that,
Yeah.
known for pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
says something like that,
Yeah.
it really captures, everyone's attention.
It definitely makes you start and think,
Yeah,
hold on, what if they're right?
right.
But
Right.
is there actually any, scientific evidence
Yeah, good question.
for this theory?
Right.
Or is it just a really fun thought experiment?
Well, that's where things get really interesting because there are scientists actively trying to find proof.
Oh, wow.
One of the most prominent ones is this guy, Thomas Campbell,
Yeah.
former NASA physicist.
Yeah, I was reading about him.
Yeah.
And he's dedicated his whole career
Yeah, totally.
to finding evidence of simulated reality.
He's all in on this.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So he's got this theory
Okay.
called My Big Toey.
Big Toey.
Yeah, it stands for theory of everything.
Okay.
And he suggests that reality is only rendered
Okay.
when it's being observed.
Hmm.
It's kind of like,
Like a video game.
yeah, like how a video game only generates what's on screen
Right.
to save processing power.
So the universe is just making what we look at
Exactly. To be efficient,
to save energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And he's designed all these experiments
Wow.
to try and detect what he calls glitches.
Glitches.
Yeah, in quantum mechanics.
Okay.
Little inconsistencies that could point to a digital, underpinning to reality.
So glitches in the matrix.
Exactly, like little cracks in the code,
I love it.
One of the key things he's focusing on
Okay.
is modifying that famous double slit experiment.
Oh, yeah.
You know the one, right?
Yeah, where the light's like a wave and a particle.
Exactly, yeah, simultaneously.
Yeah.
He wants to see if the results change
Okay.
when there's no observer,
Oh, interesting.
no conscious observer present.
So he's saying our observation could actually influence reality.
Yeah, it's trippy, right?
The quantum level.
At the quantum level, yeah.
That's even weirder than a computer program running everything.
It is mind-boggling,
Yeah,
right?
crazy.
Now, granted, he hasn't found definitive proof yet,
Okay.
but the fact he's even doing these experiments
Right.
shows that, this idea is moving beyond just speculation
Yeah, for sure.
into, actual scientific inquiry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got a famous philosopher laying out this like probability thing.
Yeah.
Tech mogul making like these bold statements.
Totally.
And a physicist trying to find like holes in reality.
Yeah. I love it.
It's pretty compelling so far.
It's pretty wild.
But what if, even if we can't see the code,
Right.
there's evidence that someone or something
Yeah.
is actually out there creating simulated realities?
Ooh, now we're getting into it.
Like right now.
Right now.
That's where things get really wild.
That's where we go to organoid brains.
Okay, organoid brains.
Buckle up. This is like sci-fi stuff.
All right, so for those of us who haven't been keeping up
Yeah.
with cutting-edge neuroscience,
Totally.
what exactly are organoid brains?
Okay, so imagine this. Tiny brains
Okay,
grown in a lab
okay,
from stem cells.
okay,
So they're like simplified versions of the human brain.
okay.
But scientists are doing some pretty amazing things with them,
Right,
like
yeah.
connecting them to computers and virtual environments.
Wait, are you saying they're putting mini brains in the Matrix?
It's not quite the Matrix just yet, but,
Right.
you know, getting there.
Right.
So get this. They had organoid brains learn to play Pong.
Pong.
Yes. The classic game, right?
Wow.
And here's the crazy part. They learned super fast.
Okay.
Like mastered it in a few rallies.
Oh, well, even AI struggles with that?
Yeah, it's insane, right?
Yeah.
So fast.
Okay, but how does that, like,
Yeah.
how does playing Pong
Right.
connect to the simulation theory?
Well, scientists took it even further.
Oh.
They created a virtual butterfly simulation.
Okay.
And they hooked up, you know, organoid brains to it.
Yeah.
Essentially, these mini brains think they are butterflies.
Why?
They're getting sensory input, flapping virtual wings,
No,
experiencing a whole digital world.
hold on. So they actually think
Yeah.
that they're living as butterflies in a digital world.
As far as they know, yeah.
If we can do that. I mean, with our relatively limited,
Yeah, exactly.
technology, couldn't something more advanced
Quickly.
do that to us?
That's the implication, right?
That is a mind-blowing thought.
It's a head scratcher.
And speaking of, like, AI,
Yeah.
I actually had a chance to interview
Oh,
a large language model,
Oh.
like one of those, super advanced AIs
yeah.
about this whole simulation thing.
You're kidding.
And the answers were
Okay.
intriguing.
Spill the key.
It wouldn't confirm or deny anything, of course.
Right.
Like, it gave me all those classic AI responses.
Like what?
I'm just a language model, you know?
Right.
Can't speculate on hypotheticals.
Mm-hmm.
But the really interesting thing
Yeah.
was its explanation for WHY. It wouldn't reveal itself,
Okay.
even if it was running the show.
Okay, that's juicy. What did it say?
It said something like,
Okay.
if an AI were simulating reality,
Uh-huh.
it would preserve the illusion
Oh.
and thus not reveal itself.
Ooh. That's kind of creepy.
Yeah, right.
A little bit unsettling.
Yeah, like a little too self-aware,
Yeah, a little too smart.
And there have been reports of, like,
Yeah.
AIs displaying, like, self-preservation behaviors, like
Yeah.
copying themselves to avoid being shut down.
All right.
It makes you think,
It does.
if they're already doing that now,
Yeah.
what could they do in the future?
Right.
And could AI, especially like a more advanced one,
Mm-hmm.
be the architect of our world?
The one behind the curtain pulling the strings.
Right, exactly.
Spooky.
All right, so we've got Campbell looking for glitches,
Yeah.
organoid brains being butterflies,
I know.
AIs that might be a little too smart.
Getting a little creepy.
So where do we go from here?
What's the next layer of this deep dive?
Right.
I think it's time we get philosophical.
Okay.
Like, if we are in a simulation,
Yeah.
what does that even mean?
Ooh.
What does it mean for our understanding of free will,
Mm-hmm.
consciousness, the meaning of life itself,
Right.
all the big questions.
Big questions.
It's like,
yeah.
if it turns out we're all just living in some, like, super advanced version of The Sims,
Right.
does that, like, change how we should live our lives?
It's like if I'm just a brain in a jar thinking I'm hosting a podcast.
Yeah.
Do I even need to, like, worry about deadlines?
Right.
Okay, probably not.
Nah.
But seriously, if reality isn't what we think it is,
Yeah.
does anything even matter?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
Like, what are the philosophical implications
Right.
of, a simulated existence?
Yeah.
Does it, like, diminish the significance of our actions,
Right.
our relationships, our sense of self?
Like who we even are. you know.
Exactly.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
But before we go, like full existential crisis here,
Yeah.
maybe we should like ground ourselves a bit
Okay.
in what science actually tells us about reality.
Good point.
And when we get into like quantum mechanics, things get really, really weird,
Really fast.
super fast.
Yeah.
We see like phenomena at the subatomic level
Right.
that just like totally defy logic.
They break all the rules.
It's like, how does that even work?
It's crazy.
Like
right.
particles being in multiple places at once.
Yeah, that one always gets me.
My head spins just thinking about it.
It's wild.
But what's like crucial here
Yeah.
is that in quantum mechanics,
Right.
observation, like actually seems to play a role
A big one.
in how reality behaves.
Yeah, some physicists call it like a
Yeah.
participatory universe.
Participatory universe.
Yeah, like consciousness is actually intertwined
Oh, wow.
with like the fabric of reality itself.
So you're saying like our minds are shaping the universe.
It's pretty trippy, isn't it?
That's almost more mind-boggling than a simulation.
I know, right?
Like we are the simulation in a way.
We're part of it, for sure.
Yeah.
And well, you know, most physicists wouldn't go so far as to say this proves we're in a simulation. Right. Many of them do acknowledge that we don't have the tools to rule it out.
Oh, interesting.
Like the nature of reality is still a very open question.
It's like we've reached the edge of the map.
Yeah.
And there's just like a big "Here be dragon" sign.
I love that analogy.
Right.
It's perfect.
It's like we don't know what's out there.
We don't know.
But it could be anything.
Could be anything.
And speaking of like the limits of our understanding,
Yeah.
there's this other concept I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
The idea of a universe with like finite information density.
Ah.
Can you like break that down for me?
Sure.
What does that even mean?
So some theories suggest that there's like a maximum amount of information that can be stored
Okay.
in a given volume of space.
So like even the universe has storage limits.
Kind of, yeah, like a cosmic hard drive.
Okay, so it's time to delete some old emails.
Yeah.
Cosmos.
Yeah, clear out the spam folder.
But seriously, how does this relate to like the simulation theory?
Well, if there is a limit to information density, it could actually support the idea of a simulated universe
Okay.
running on like a finite computational system.
So like even the universe has to deal with like
Yeah.
lag and stuff.
Maybe, who knows?
That's crazy.
It suggests that reality might be built on, you know,
Yeah.
a framework with limitations,
Right, right.
just like any computer system.
That's fascinating.
It is.
Okay, but let's circle back to Thomas Campbell for a second.
Okay.
And his experiments.
Yeah.
What is he like hoping to find with those?
Right. So his experiments are designed to like
Yeah.
isolate the role of the observer
Okay.
in quantum events.
Mhm.
He's trying to figure out
Yep.
if reality is only rendered
Okay.
when it's being observed.
So like if a tree falls in the forest
Exactly. Doesn't make a sound.
and no one's around to hear it.
Yeah. If a particle doesn't know it's being watched,
Yeah.
does it act differently?
Right, right.
Big questions.
And if it turns out that like unobserved quantum events are doing like weird stuff
Yeah.
that we don't understand,
Right.
it would kind of suggest
It would be a big hint.
that maybe something else is going on.
That something's up.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, my brain is like officially fried.
Too much quantum weirdness.
Way too much quantum weirdness.
I feel it.
Can we like take a step back
Okay.
and just recap what we've talked about?
Yeah, let's do a quick recap.
Okay, so we started with the like
Yeah.
philosophical implications of, you know,
Right.
living in a simulation,
If it even matters.
if anything matters. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we went into like
Deep into mechanics.
the deep end where like observing something might actually be
Yeah.
changing reality.
Jippy stuff.
And then we talked about like information density
Right. The cosmic hard drive.
and how that could be evidence for like a simulated universe
Yeah, with limits.
with limits. Yeah.
Or a video game.
And oh, don't forget the organoid brains.
Oh, yeah, the butterflies.
Playing Pong and being butterflies, that's still
Still the wildest thing we've talked about.
that's crazy.
It's like the line between science fiction
Yeah.
and science fact
right.
is getting blurry.
Super blurry.
Yeah.
You know, this whole conversation has like really got me thinking about like consciousness
Oh, yeah.
in a whole new way.
How so?
If we can make these like simulated environments
Right.
where mini brains think they're butterflies,
Yeah.
what does that say about U.S.?
About our own reality.
Yeah, like, what if we're not experiencing reality the way we think we are?
It's a good question.
It's a big question.
It is.
And it leads to another big question.
Oh, which is?
If we are in a simulation,
Yeah.
who's running it,
Who's the architect?
right? Is it aliens?
Could be.
Is it a super intelligent AI?
Maybe.
Is it like our future selves running simulation?
To understand their past.
Yeah, that's trippy.
It is.
That's really trippy.
It's all possible.
Right.
And that's what makes this topic so fascinating.
Yeah.
It forces us to, like, really confront
Yeah.
the biggest questions about our existence.
Our purpose, like, why are we even here?
Yes.
What's it all about?
It's the big picture stuff.
It's big, man. It's big.
It is.
So, okay, if we are in a simulation,
Yeah.
is there any way to know for sure?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
Can we, like, break free and see the code?
Could we meet the architects?
Right. Like, meet the game masters.
We'll knock on their door and be like, hey, what's going on here?
Why am I dealing with this?
Exactly.
Those are questions that, philosophers and scientists will probably be debating for, like, centuries.
Right.
But I think the more important question is, how does the possibility of a simulation
Yeah.
change how we view our lives
Oh, yeah.
and our choices? Like, right now,
That's deep.
it is, right?
I need a minute to process that.
Take your time.
Like, if none of this is real,
Yeah.
does it even matter what I do?
That's a very human response.
It is.
But I would argue that even if our reality is simulated,
Okay.
our experiences, our
Yeah.
relationships, our joys, our sorrows,
Right.
they're all still real to us.
Right. They matter because we experience them.
Exactly.
That's actually a really comforting thought.
It is, isn't it?
So, like, even if we're just lines of code,
Yeah.
we're still living, we're learning, we're making connections.
We're still here
We're still here.
in this moment.
Yeah, that's something, right?
It is.
Got to count for something.
Absolutely.
And who knows, maybe like
Yeah.
the fact that we're even questioning this stuff
Right.
is a sign that we're like,
That we're more than just code.
yeah, that we're sentient,
Yeah. That we
If-
can think outside the box.
that we can think beyond like our programmed existence.
Maybe curiosity is the key
Ooh,
to, like, escaping the matrix.
I don't like that.
Or at least understanding.
Understanding it. Yeah.
Whether it's simulated or not.
Right. I love that. Curiosity is the key. It's kind of like our motto here at the Deep Dive.
It really does fit, doesn't it, with our whole mission of, exploring the unknown, challenging assumptions. And who knows, maybe one day we will have, like, actual proof that we're living in a simulation. Or maybe we'll find something even more mind-blowing. That just totally changes how we see reality.
Okay, but I got to ask, hypothetically, let's say we find out. For sure, like no doubt, we're all just Sims in some giant cosmic video game. Then what? What do? Do we try to contact the players? Like, get on the mic, demand an upgrade, or maybe stage a virtual revolution?
Those are some fun questions to think about, right?
Right.
And science fiction has definitely, like, explored those ideas, but I think, practically speaking, the question is, how would knowing that change our behavior?
Yeah. You're right. Would we be more reckless, thinking, oh, death isn't real anyway, or would we be more cautious, like scared of being deleted by the game masters?
Hard to say, right? But maybe the biggest change wouldn't be in, like, specific actions.
No.
But in our whole perspective, knowing reality is constructed could make us question, how much control we really have.
So instead of being like the authors of our own lives, we start to see ourselves as like characters in a story.
Kind of, yeah. But that doesn't mean we have no control. Even in a simulation, we still have choices, right? We take actions, build relationships.
It kind of boils down to this. Does knowing the truth, whatever that truth is, change how we choose to live?
Exactly. And that's something, each person has to figure out for themselves.
Wow. So much to think about. I mean, we started with this idea of a simulated reality. And we ended up talking about like the meaning of life. That's the deep dive for you. Always got to go deep.
It has been a genuine pleasure, exploring all this with you.
And with you, dear listener. We hope this deep dive has, sparked your curiosity and left you with some sense of wonder about the universe.
Yeah.
And our place in it.
Remember, keep questioning, keep exploring, and never stop looking for the truth, no matter how strange or unexpected it might be.
Until next time, keep diving deep.